what I wish I knew at 15 instead of 25? That healing isn't a solo trip, it's a family journey. Welcome to What Happens Outside of Love, a space where the masks come off, the truth gets told, and healing begins. I'm Dr. LaQuita, and I'm joined by my cousins Diontrise and Shanita. Together, we dive deep into those moments, memories, and mindsets shaped in the absence of love, and how we're finding our way back to it. This isn't just a podcast. This is a Cousins production, a raw, real, and reflective journey where family, faith, pain, and progress meet. Whether you're navigating trauma, rebuilding trust, or redefining what love looks like in your life, we see you, and we're walking this journey with you. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's talk about what happens outside of love.
Well, hello,
Everyone.
Welcome to another episode of What Happens Outside of Love,
a Cousins podcast.
Yes, I am LaQuita Parks, Dr. LaQuita Parks, and I am joined with my cousins Shanita and Diontrise Blake. So, for those of you who don't know already, we are really cousins. We are, and I say this all the time. So, go back to the first episode if you missed it. So I'm Dr. LaQuita Parks, and these are my cousins. Shanita is the cousin on my mama's side, and Shanita, it seems like we need to be in the middle, but we don't. I need to be.
But you're supposed to be in the middle. What happened? I was waiting for you to squeeze in between us, so we can be like a vanilla Oreo cookie, right?
Yeah.
Come on, get in the middle.
So it's from dark melanin to light melanin. That's what it is. So I am Dr. LaQuita Parks, and these are my cousins, Shanita, who is my cousin on my mama's side, and Dion, who is the cousin on my daddy's side. So y'all want to say hey to the people?
Hello.
Hello, everyone out in cyberspace. Happy Tuesday to you today.
Okay. Today is Tuesday. You know what? I'm like, I didn't really realize it was Tuesday. It's been a nutty kind of day today, y'all. I have to tell y'all later. Offline, okay? So today's conversation is one that cuts deep, y'all. It's the weight of silent battles. And those are, that's something that we know all too well, where we're talking about hidden struggles, the things that we don't say, and the way silence shapes our relationships, our confidence, and our healing. And we talked a lot about that last week. We talked about always what happens outside of love, but we talked about when God is not in the midst. If God is not in it, it ain't nothing. Because we want to know what, Dion, we want to know what love feels like, right? We want to know what love is, right?
Yes.
We want to know what love is.
Exactly.
Yes. So we've talked privately. But what we've all had some silent hurt, some silent battles, some things that were going on outside of love that we just kind of kept to ourselves. I know when I was married, and that was still in the generation of what go on in the house, stay in the house. Mm-hmm. So some things that was happening in the house within my marriage I was quiet about. I didn't share some things because I'm like, I felt like I didn't have nobody to turn to. So I was going through some silent battles. I just like, okay, I got to take care of my kids. That was my focus. So some things that was going on inside, I didn't say because I really didn't feel like I had the support of my family. So, and that's what we're talking about when you don't feel like you have the support, when you don't feel like you have love, when you don't feel like you have all of that you need, then everything is everything outside of love. So, Shanita and Dion, can you guys share some silent battles that you guys might have faced in the midst of living, supposed to be love, but it ain't love? If
I
it
can
is
start with
love,
family. I can
that's my
start
song.
with family.
If it is love, why
It's
do
like
you feel this
in
way?
family, we don't address things, just over the weekend. I'm not going to speak on it, but I'm like, I'm glad, I don't like being to myself, but if it's worth my peace to be to myself. But I think a lot of times in the family, we overlook things. We like sweep it up under the rug and we don't deal with it. And I feel like you need to call it what it is. So I think that's some things that I have experienced inside the family. So we're not even gonna get on the relationship. But go ahead, Dion.
We listen. Wait. When what you say? Call it what it is. We're Spade family, right?
Right.
We now, Dion. We play some spades in the Parks family, and you got to call a spade, baby. If you, it is what it is. If it walk like a duck and talk like a duck, it ain't a dog. It's a duck. Okay. It is a duck. I don't care how you shape it. I don't care how you draw it to make it look like something else. It's a duck.
Exactly.
It's a duck.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Dion. We're gonna have fun, y'all. We have fun on this show.
No, I think you guys are making good points. I think part of it is okay. So I want to start off by saying something. Part of walking around outside of love is like walking in the dark. Mm-hmm. If we're walking inside of love, it's like walking in the light. You feel lighter. You look lighter. You look
cute.
You're just glowing.
You're glowing. You're glowing.
Yeah, you're glowing. But when you're out, it's dark. It's gloomy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in our family dynamics, we're looking for that place, that light at the end of the tunnel. And when we enter into that light, we thinking we entering into love. Mm-hmm. But coming out of the family, it's like when you were talking earlier, Dr. LaQuita. When you were talking earlier, I think the silence that we face in the family is pretty much, as you were speaking, several things were going through my mind. I thought about when we're younger and we're walking around and we can't wait to get to the end of the tunnel. We find our person and we find ourselves in love. And we think, I know for me, I can't speak for you two, but I thought it's like I'm finna leave these folks behind and I'm finna just sail into the sunset with my lover. But that's not how it goes because where we're coming from. Mm-hmm. We're coming from this dark place, even inside of our families, a place of ignorance. And we said last week, we want to know what love is, but we're not learning what love is inside the family unit, basically. Right. So what are we taking into these lover relationships? So when we think we arrive there with what? Baggage.
Truckload.
The baggage, a tripload of baggage, because we're coming from, like we talked about last week. We're coming from what we think love should be, not from what it is, but from what we think it should be. And where do we get that from? Because we've observed it in the family, and it's not what it is. Because mama raised daddy, and grandmama raised mama, and they did what they knew how to do, and they did what they knew how to do. So we're coming with a bunch of baggage on what we think it should be. And then when it's not what we think it should be, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And it's two sides.
Right. We're not being trained, right? We're not trained in what love is. So therefore we arrive at what we think is love, wanting to know, hey, this ain't what I thought it was going to be, right? But we're coming from a place of ignorance. That's the point I want to say.
Blind leading the blind.
And where they both go.
Falling in a hole somewhere trying to figure it out.
But I think it's time for, like you were saying earlier, to let these conversations be had. Like, say you don't know. Mama them, daddy them, uncle them. Instead of walking around talking about, I'm going to go ahead and say, I poked this one and I poked that one. That
ain't love. No, it ain't love. It is not love. Dion, we lost you. Your screen went blank. But as we go into what love looks like, the weight of silent battles. Shanita, you went through a lot of battles. And so I want to ask you, and you can share some of your story with us, with people listening. But did you suffer any of that in silence? Did people know what was going on?
No, maybe one or two, but not fully detailed. I told you I was on a board when my friend had this little domestic violence program down in Clayton County. It was called Divas. And the first thing she said, why didn't you talk to me? Even when I was at Mercer said, because, I had graduated from Mercer. And Mercer was like, you could have came and talked to us. And I'm like, listen, one thing y'all going to be able to do. In my mind, that's what I thought. That's why I said it verbally. 2, I was embarrassed. So a lot of times we live in silence because we're worried about what somebody think. And we got to get in ourselves, because ourselves is our worst enemy. Because we see bad, but we just want to change it to make it good.
See? Hello, Shauna. My good friend Shauna is there. She says, hello, everybody. And then, hi, T. Watkins. Thank you for joining our conversation. And listen, if you have some questions, please feel free to, put it in the chat, send us a message. You have a question, please feel free. We are
Dion. You back. You tried to run off, trying to sweep it up under the rug again.
We're gonna be having these conversations every week. So, ask us a question if you have a question. But so it's funny, I found it interesting, Shanita. You were part of this domestic violence, and that just speaks volumes, because there are people who are working in situations where they're fighting the battle themselves, and they're helping other people through the battle. It's that's something that really,
I think too, because my thing was you couldn't see the physical abuse, because it wasn't like he was blacking my eyes. Even though he was choking my neck, it wasn't like he was leaving bruises, but it was enough to let you know, don't play with me, And I think when, in my mind, he not blacking my eyes, he not breaking my bones. I remember one time, I think my daughter was around 5, no more than 7 at the time. I remember he said, I'm gonna break your legs. He tried to break my legs in front of my 32-year-old. And I remember her coming in, and I was just screaming, and he stopped. I remember like yesterday, you know what I mean? And you would think that would be enough to walk away. And then when I call somebody, that somebody who should have been there for me, needless to name people, was not there for me. And fast forward, remember I said she was no older than 7. It took until when I almost lost my life that person came and said, hey, I wish I could have been there. I'm sorry, but I feel like God put things in a place for a reason. And I think we talked about this. I couldn't remember if it's in the book or not, but I said, God talks in the word. It says through you, your kids can be cursed. And I'm the only child, and not to throw nobody's business out there, because we're talking about what happens out of love. But if I'm the only child, do you know everything that y'all did wrong on your side? I had to suffer from it. So let's just say, because I don't want to throw shade, trees, nobody.
Don't throw no tree.
But
the truth is the truth.
The book, the story. Yeah. So my daddy, he did some things in his life. And everything that he did came back on me. Like, how some people, the mama may go out there and steal, but the child may get locked up for robbing the bank. You know what I'm saying? But the mama may went out there and killed somebody, but that child may not catch it, But I had to catch everything, But I just say, by the grace of God, that I'm able to stand here to tell the story. I haven't given up on my faith. I struggle sometimes, but I haven't given up on my faith because of that. And it's like sometimes parents know, friends know, family know. Sometimes people don't want to be in their business, but at this time we need to start speaking up, because domestic violence didn't just happen a few years ago. And I'm not talking about for me. I'm just talking about in general. But as you said a couple of weeks ago on the show, Dion, what happens in this family stays in this family. And I think that's why I say sweeping up under the rug, a lot of people don't want to address.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I remember before I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, So my auntie knew, don't want to call no names, that I was sexually active, right?
Mm-hmm.
You made a little nasty comment, but the comment should have been like, I know you're having sex. You probably ain't gonna talk to your mama. Let me give you some condoms to help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, oh, you ain't gonna be nothing, and you know, like, even if you don't agree with
At
situation,
14, you were 14.
14, right? So can you imagine? And I think my hardest struggle with the situation that I stayed in for about 25 years was because I was trying to prove people wrong.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, Shanita, that's a lot, because how many times have you heard people telling people, you're not gonna ever be anything, you're gonna be like your mama, you're gonna be like your daddy. Shanita, I mean, Dion, I know we talked about some of it in your story. You're not gonna, you hot tail and all this kind of stuff. And so how often do we try to run from that stigma or that label that's put on us? Some people run to it, some people run from it.
But I gotta say, to that point that you said, Dr. LaQuita, and to the point you made, Shanita, part of what's going on is like the family, we're creating that space, that dark space, instead of your aunt telling you, like you said, hey, I know you're sexually active, but that ain't what you really want to be doing right now. Instead of comforting you and providing some teachable moments of impartation. No, it's not happening that way. And so, like you said, Dr. LaQuita, we're trying to run. What we're doing is, what I'm seeing is, we're running away from that family dynamic into the arms of a
stranger.
Outside of love.
Not outside. We run into somebody who's definitely not in love, right? I've recently understood the trauma bonding. Y'all heard about that?
Oh, yes. Yes.
We're bonding because we're coming from these traumatic places, spaces,
trying to heal each other.
And we're both just traumatic. When I really understood that, I was like, yeah, I'm good. Ooh.
But what happens though? What happens, because everybody doesn't grow up in somebody is inside of love. So what happens when that person that is inside of love, and we talked about this the other week, where we grow up, your parents have children, and ideally, you love them. They are so beautiful. They, like, my little grandbabies, are so sweet and so cute and so beautiful, and everything is perfect. Perfect nose, perfect hair, perfect eyes, everything is perfect. And then off they go, off you do what you need to do, because you got to go to work, and you drop that little perfect child off at the daycare or the babysitter or whatever. And they come in contact with little Sheree, who has not felt that, who has not gotten that you're beautiful, you're loved, who hasn't gotten that, who doesn't know that. And then they run into your child, and they tell your child, you ugly, your nose big, whatever those things look like. And then that child, what you've said and built up for the last few years, means nothing now, because somebody has given them that negative, and then they spend all their time trying to hide that nose. My nose is too big. My lips are too big. My eyes are too big. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. My hair is too short. My hair is too long. So we're doing all this to please who? Now, do I care that my hair is short or long? I do, or I don't. But it's because of somebody else. It's because somebody else is looking, and they have made a comment. And so that's where that self-esteem comes in. But we meet somebody. So say I'm the broken one, and of the person that doesn't know what it means to be to be inside of love. And I meet that person who is, and then they're trying to fix me, and I'm thinking something wrong with them, and they know something wrong with me. So what happens when those two meet? How strong has the love? Now, love can be strong, and it can pull that other person on the other side, but it has to be consistently strong. So speak on that, y'all.
I'm gonna say, from what I have seen with people, I don't think I ever experienced that. So just a little. We think we can change them. That's the main problem. Because you see somebody, y'all have some similarities, and y'all hit it off. Then you done got comfortable. See, that's the problem. We get too comfortable. That's how we end up sliding in to the bad, dark side. Because the main thing women say, oh, He'll change because I've been one of the ones. He'll change. You
I
want
can
him to
change
change
him.
because you
I
don't
can
want to
change
start
him.
over. He ain't gonna change because the Bible says a man who find a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord, right? So why is we as women accepting the wrongdoing in these men to move on? Because we done got too comfortable and we don't want to change. And sometimes, in most cases, change is good. So
Yes, it is. It make dollars.
right.
It make dollars. Shanita, Dion, look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say to that. I think what we're dealing with is, to your point when you was talking about the kids back going to school. So what happens? I don't know. I don't know the dynamics or the statistical data, but I would venture to say, most culturally speaking, the dynamic of love is just not there. It's not intact. And then more specifically, when you go into school environments or public community environments, now that you've taken the word of God, the Bible, those type of things out of that environment, what is the standard that your child is going to learn how to relate to, right? And you could be training your children at home in the things of God, but what I really believe at the end of the day is that we're training. Where's the training taking place? Are we being trained inside of love and outside of love? So that's the dynamic that I'm looking at. And when you talked about it, Shanita, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So we're here, but Dr. LaQuita is gone.
I think I don't know. I noticed that too.
Okay. Well,
She's gonna pop back in, let's hope.
Come back. But no, so what I'm saying, I think it's the training. For what I'm seeing is, it's just a matter of,
I'm sorry, y'all. I had to step away for a second.
Us being trained in the things of love versus not trained. And I think it's the children growing up, especially male children growing up, to most of the time being not trained. They're trained in the flesh, but not trained in love. Because if they're trained in love, they know their job is to cultivate their wife and cultivate their children and make the household, raise the household up in love. So, but yeah, what is going on? Is it there?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So yes, I think that's what we're dealing with.
So Dion, let me ask, and either one of y'all can answer this
guys
question.
hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
So what happens, and one of y'all can answer, either all of us can answer. So how does silence within family relationships create distance or misunderstanding?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
How do you think silence within family relationships creates distance or misunderstanding?
I think one sign would be like, you'll think it's favoritism, you just walk away.
Without even having a conversation about it.
Right. Because I distanced myself from my mother's side of the family a lot because of some things that I said, saw. And if I spoke on it, then I was kind of wrong. And then I remember, and every time it just sits with me, I remember I was telling my mama, I'm not finna do that. You can go do that, but I'm not finna do that because listen, I got enough going on in my life. And if you ain't calling me on the regular, I consider check on me 2 times a year, but don't call me when it's time for something to pop off. Now, I do that sometimes, don't get me wrong, because in case somebody say I'm a hypocrite. But if I have called you, meaning I have already been there and done something for you. Not saying that you owe me nothing in return, but I noticed a lot of times it was here, pick and choosing of who you want. But then when you want everybody to come together, then you want to call the person out that you pushed out. But the thing is, did you know you pushed them out? Did you listen when they tried to say they felt like they wasn't wanted? It's just like when you said about the child, and when Dion was, there you go. So when you mentioned about when the child went to school and the little cray called her ugly or whatever, the thing is, I think with kids, when they start feeling insecure, because we have to, even if once our children be able to understand, we say, hey, baby, you want some cereal? Yes, mommy, I want some cereal. If your child can respond, that means you telling your child they beautiful, 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 but we have to be real. Sometimes as a parent in your household, you need to prep your kids from outside.
Yeah.
So when they come, so say be like, I love you, you're beautiful. But if Bobby Joe come over here and tell you you nasty and you stink, you know you smell good. Smell yourself. You
Don't
know,
believe,
like,
don't believe Bobby Joe.
right, because we want our kids to be perfect. Because I had this battle with my daughter. I remember my oldest daughter. She's like, "You always." I said, "But you know, I don't take sides, and you know how I've been from day one. I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's the truth, even if it hurts your feelings. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Because I told you how right's supposed to be, and when you're wrong, I tell you wrong, and I make sure that I put you and show you examples of wrong. I'm not perfect, but." If I tell you beautiful, when you got this dough, Johnny shouldn't be able to say you fat and ugly. Because
Right,
I already told you, Johnny gonna probably say
whose
you
report
fat and
will
ugly.
you believe?
Look in the mirror, because and I tell it with my youngest daughter, I say they can only thing they can call you is fat. Because if you get on the scale, the doctor scale say you obese. So don't let that bother you because you know you fat. Now, if it bothers you, what are you gonna do about it? But just take realization to yourself. So we have to tell people what real is. Even though we want to tell you what right is, we still have to prepare you for that outside world to be real with you.
You know what? It's funny because you I remember when my oldest daughter was in school, she went to a predominantly white school. And I remember she wanted to run for whatever Miss third grade, fourth grade, I forget. But she was like, I probably won't win because the other girls are prettier than me. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
So she was attributing it to their light skin. And I was like, they're not. I was like, you are beautiful. And it doesn't matter. And that's a part of why I started my a failure to communicate mentoring programs. It was Beauty Redefined. So I was very, very purposeful, very intentional, Dion, in helping young ladies love themselves from the inside out. And so as we talk about what happens outside of love, being silent, that's deadly. Because I remember I did a workshop at this church, and it was younger kids. And this little girl, when I tell you this little girl, she was 11 years old, and I'll never forget her because she was chocolate. And I remember she had on some skin tight white jeans, and she had this boy's name written on her arm in marker. And I asked her, I said, why are you marking your body up with somebody's name? She was 11 now. So we had a whole conversation. She was like, well, it's my boyfriend. You 11. But the way that she said it, and the way that she was matured, and the way that she had all of this, sassiness to her at 11, I felt like she had already been exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, listen, when, if you sitting here and somebody blow a horn, I learned, somebody told me a long time ago, a car horn is not tied to your neck. So if somebody outside and they blowing for you and they can't ring the doorbell, then you just keep on going like you didn't hear nothing.
Yeah.
So, but when I told her grandmother was like, yeah, she's so fast. Come on, she 11. See, what is she being exposed
and the
to?
parents condone it. That's the sad part.
And so that's when it's silent. You said, Shanita, when you would see something, you would say something. Well, here's the thing: a lot of times people do say something, but the receiver is not receiving it, and so it becomes a problem. So then you got a whole community of people saying, "Oh, they're not gonna do nothing. Why? I ain't gonna say nothing because they're not gonna do nothing."
Well, I want to say something to that point you just made.
The thought don't work
with the grandmama, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is typically what I see going on in the family too. Like the grandmama, oh, she's so fast, but is she so fast because you were so fast? And is she so fast because that's the environment? Because when a child is really loved, a child is given a healthy dose of attention, affection, and love from the right members of the family. They're not being molested or not being abused in any kind of way. That typically shapes out to be, I'm getting everything I need, the love, the nurturing, all of that, the affection at home. I really don't have to look for it out here. But what I think is taking place in our families is because the generations that are coming before us, parents, the grandparents, because those relationships haven't been properly attributed or done right. Like, so if grandmama was hot, the mama hot, and the granddaughter hot, everybody hot at the same time. We all hot
because we all at the club together.
Right, we all hot in the bed. But I think that's what we're experiencing. We're in that culture, and we want to call the next generation hot. But what about the generation that came before it? Like, what were y'all doing?
And what would we?
They forgot what they was doing, but they remember because they still condoning it.
Yeah, you know.
But it's causing the silence we were talking about, right? It's really that's what's causing the silence, because really I don't know what to do to change this narrative. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to, you know what I'm saying? I can't teach the generation coming behind me better because I don't know any better.
Well,
so
you know
in
what?
a lot of cases, it's really that generational cycle repeating itself, and we're trapped outside of love.
Well, you know what? I think where we start, we've started, because first of all, we start with a conversation, and that's what we're having. We're having a conversation. We're starting with the conversation because we don't know what's what until we start talking about it. So you got to start pulling it out in order to be able to address it. If I don't go to the doctor to figure out what's going on with this pain in my hip, I can guess all day long. But when I go to the doctor and they do an x-ray, and then they might have to send me for an MRI, then they can get down to the scope of it, and they can say, okay, this is what's going on. And then the next step is then how do we fix it? So I think we're starting with the conversation because we don't know how to fix it, but we can start with the conversation. And as we go through, somebody going to say something that's going to say, okay, that makes sense. So I like to say, and I say this all the time, I cannot do anything about what's going on across the seas. I can't do nothing about what's going on in Ellenwood. You know what I'm saying? I can't do nothing about what's going on in Tennessee. In my house, inside my house, that's my first community. My family, that's my first community. So see something, say something. And no, they're not going to like it. And we've all experienced that. I was just something simple. My daughter asked me, how was I feeling? And I said, I'm tired. And she said, I need for you to say something else. And I'm like, well, I'm tired. So I'm like, don't ask me how I'm feeling if you don't want my response. And that's what we can't do. We can't say how you doing, and then we don't want to receive how they doing, because sometimes we shut that down because how they not doing might be a reflection on us. They might not be doing good because of us or something that we did or something that we said, and it had just spilled over like that, like sweeping it up under the rug. Okay, you know what? There go LaQuita. I ain't gonna say nothing to her because she said something to me last week that I didn't like. And then you got the cold shoulder. We've all experienced it. Like, what's wrong with her? Well, you don't realize that you said something that LaQuita didn't like, you know? So it's like, and then there's the, well, she just sensitive. Really? Am I sensitive? Am I sensitive, or are you rude and aggressive? So it's like a whole circle of conversation that has to be had. But we starting it. We're doing it now. And if you're listening and you have questions for us, or you have some hey, you have a solution to what's happening outside of love, we'd love to hear from you. We would definitely love to hear from you. So there is a cost, Shanita, a cost of being silent. And I'm not picking on you, but you know, you in the middle, so
right.
Why not? But you paid a cost for your
I
silence.
did.
You paid a cost.
Yeah, I did. I almost lost my life because being silent, being embarrassed, you know, worrying about judgment. Because I could have went somewhere, but I chose not to. But it, you know, I thank God, you know, for what he did, you know. But it's costly, and it's we've seen in the last couple of weeks, women getting knocked off.
Oh yeah.
Because we think we're gonna change the situation. Because we remaining in silence, you know.
And somebody said silence. I think Dr. Monica Jackson used to say, silence kills, speaking heals. Silence kills, speaking heals. And I agree with that. I agree. And you know what? And here's the thing. I know a lot of people are silent because they feel like they don't have anybody they can trust to talk to. Because how I'm gonna tell you what's going on with me, Shanita, and then Dion calling me saying, "Girl, I heard what was going on." Like, wait,
Right.
I ain't talked to nobody but Shanita. Hi, hi,
That's why I
Dion.
be on the wall.
It's quicker than the telephone game, you know. So that's one of the reasons people stay silent because they don't feel like they can trust anybody with their secret.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm sharing with you, I'm not and sometimes are we sharing to keep the secret, or are we sharing in hopes that that person we're talking to will help us with the solution?
Because
What
you
Or
don't
are we sharing the
necessarily
gossip and the
right.
slander?
No, I'm saying right. Are we right? No, I'm saying if the victim, and I'm going to say the victim, if I'm the victim and I'm sharing with you what's going on with me, am I sharing for you to keep my secret, or am I secretly hoping that you can help me find a solution? Because I don't know. And sometimes it's a heavy weight, because sometimes when you go in, I was looking at something and I found it very interesting because of today's conversation. I was watching some reel or something on I think it was either Facebook or Instagram somewhere, but it was a domestic violence reel, and it was crazy. And so at first I was like, is this real? But it was like a series of plays, and I like to research, so I'll go digging. And so it was a group that do these domestic violence plays. And so they was like, these are, nobody was injured, but these are plays, and it's to bring awareness. And
Right.
it was where a friend on this particular skit, this friend was talking to her friend, and she was pregnant and she was being beaten, and she was telling her, he's beating me every day, and I'm pregnant, and he's still beating me, he's mean to me, and all this stuff. And so she was like, why do you stay? Why do you stay? She was like, you need to leave. And then she had some reasons. Oh, I like the way he made me feel. Well, wait, she was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. You're gonna be dead and you like the way he makes you feel. But then she was like, you can pack your stuff and you can leave. I can help you. And so she went to help her, and he came in, and she was like, it's not me. It's not me. It was her. It was her. So she kind of like threw her friend under the bus, and she wasn't strong enough to say, I want out. And so he told her to take her bags back upstairs. And the friend, he literally takes his belt off and starts beating the friend. And I thought, oh my gosh. And now it was a play. It was a skit or a reel or whatever. But how many times is that really happening? Here it is. The friend is
Often
trying to help
more than
you.
what we think.
Yeah, the friend is trying to help you, but now the friend, you've gone and you've left the friend to endure this. And I'm like, at some point, you're not gonna run out. And so it's two of y'all, you know what I'm saying? So now, and I thought that so there is a whole plethora of reasons why people stay silent. They fight those silent battles, and some of them to the grave, unfortunately. Some to the grave. So, what are some of the invisible battles that we fight? What's some of the invisible battles, Dion?
Some of the invisible
Some of the
battles.
invisible battles, the ones, the silent battles that we don't tell nobody.
Well, I think we're battling inwardly. I think you've touched upon it, both of you all, with your self-image, your self-esteem. You're battling inside about, because when we are worthy, when we know our worth, we identify in the beauty, the wholeness, the what the Bible say, we're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Man.
When we can identify as such, then I think that quality, that characteristic, that value that is placed on the inside of us won't allow us to stay silent. But if we're really sensing that we're not worthy, if we really feel, well, I'm not worthy, don't nobody care, then I'm internally battling I'm sinking, I'm shrinking, I'm disappearing, because I really don't think about it. Nobody cares. Nobody will miss me. if I'm gone. Nobody cares what's going to happen to them. I mean, when we're outside of love, none of that really matters. It doesn't matter. Our worth is destroyed, our value, our identity. You know what I'm saying? We might be swimming in guilt, shame, condemnation, thinking what I don't did wrong. You know,
why me? Who did it?
Exactly. So we're battling mountains so much, and it's because we really don't know who we are. You know what I'm saying? Know what we were created to do. That God didn't make us to fail. He made us to thrive. He said, "Well, Jesus said, I've come that you might have life and have
it more abundantly." And you know what? And inside, when you're inside, all of that, we're walking in the light. We're glowing. We're feeling loved. We're not only feeling love, because if I don't feel good, then I can't give you what I don't have. So if I'm inside of love, I'm feeling that love, then it's going to naturally show, and I'm going to naturally, it's going to be contagious. I'm going to naturally give it to you. There are times when we struggle, but we're there and we're giving what we have when we're inside of love. Outside of love, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And it's like, somebody said, my cup is overflowing, so I'm drinking from the saucer. Well, I ain't got nothing in the saucer. The cup done overflow. I drunk the leftover from the cup. I done turned the saucer up, and even sapping up the little droplets. So it's all gone. I don't have it. And because I'm outside of love, there is no replenishment. There's no replenishment. So what happens when we finally name the battle? We finally say, okay, you know what? When we recognize, so I'm recognizing, okay, LaQuita, you know what? You have that, okay, I realize that I'm operating in my trauma. Okay. I realize that I'm operating outside of my window of tolerance. And so for those of you who are listening, I am an advocate for therapy. Okay. I am an advocate for therapy. I'm not just saying it. Listen, what the guy say, I'm not with the balding head. I'm not only the client. I'm not only the client, I'm the company president or whatever. Well, I'm a client. I believe in some therapy. Okay. Listen, and I advise you, if you need it, go get you some. There is no shame in it. Used to be a long time ago, you say, oh, it was taboo to go to therapy. Then, that's what we don't talk about. We don't talk about what go on inside this house. What's the song? We don't talk about Bruno. No. We don't talk about Bruno. But with your therapist, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about and don't feel like you're going to be betrayed.
It's not like they're going to call your family, your husband, your sister, your cousin.
They're not going to ask to verify nothing you said. So, when I notice, when it comes to mind that, I'm outside of love, and I'm identifying this. You can't just identify it and do nothing. So once you identify it, you got to do something. That's only if you want to get inside of love. That's only if you want to start operating differently, in fullness and in love and in happiness and in all of that brightness, and unfortunately, there are some people who want to stay outside of love because they know them there. I used to say, don't worry. People over here know my crazy. They know me. I'll say, I'll have a pity party. Don't stay at the party too long. I won't, but they like me there. They like me at the party. So they gonna come in with the pity with me. They're gonna be like, oh. So they love me there, but I can't stay over there because they want to keep me. So you got to get outside of being outside of love and figure out, what do I need to do to get inside? How do I become whole?
I think when we understand more that we were created to be in this light, we understand that we have a right to be here. What's the song? There's the poem by Marianne Williamson. I think it was read in a movie where she said we give other people permission. What she said, our greatest fear. I got it somewhere, but I'm thinking about that as you was talking, Dr. Parks here, and it's what it is. It's our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure, right? So when we really tap into that inside of us, and we really understand that God is light and He has created us to walk in that light, that this darkness has to flee from on the inside of us, and we won't allow ourselves to stay down in the pity party. You know, like you said, we get the therapy we need. We fight this good fight to say that I deserve to be inside of love and not outside of love. So everything that's keeping me outside of love, I'm in a war against you, right? Like, I'm not just gonna remain on the peripheral. I see everybody and they having good time and the love and all the goodness that
I want
belongs
some of
inside
that.
of love. Why would I allow myself to just remain out here?
That's
Let
right.
me talk about it. Let me shout it on the mountaintop. Tell them, help me. Wait a minute, I need some help. Because I need to get from this dark place into this place of light.
Right.
It's all good over there.
Girl, you preach. Listen, what the poem that Dion was talking about was by Marianne Williamson. And it says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Drop the mic and walk away. Okay, so right now, today, I give my sisters, my cousin sisters, my sister cousins, Shanita and Dion, I give you permission to be fabulous.
Amen.
Already
Okay.
I give you permission. You got it. Go forth and be fabulous.
You know what? And I think that is you talked about the solution. It starts right there. That is a solution. That's a solution-oriented poem or statement.
Absolutely.
Because we have to be cognizant of that truth. We are powerful beyond measure, believe. Hey, what she say? Who are you not to be?
Who are you not to be? How dare you? How dare you have the audacity not to be great? Listen, how dare I have the audacity not to be beautiful?
Right.
How dare you?
How dare I? How dare I?
Because you can't look at the poster board and say this what I should look like. You really just can't do that. You know?
No, you can't.
And another thing is finding, once you see where you need to be, even though you're not where you should be, you need to look at your surrounding, check your environment. If you're trying to go to heaven, why would you waste your time sitting in hell? Right. Because this is another thing. When you got friends, girl, but that man pay your bills, girl, that man paying your bills gonna cost you your life.
Right.
You don't need them kind of friends.
No.
And definitely don't need no friend to tell you to leave and she ain't got no way to help you. He ain't got no way to help you. You understand what I'm saying? So that's another thing, recognizing the problem. Making sure that when you recognize the problem, you start saying, hey, is X for me or Y for me? Let me see where I'm going. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself back several times in that situation. And like I said before, a lot of us is not fortunate enough to make it out of that situation.
Right. So if you don't learn the lesson, you're destined to repeat it.
Right.
You know, and I'm always like, what's the lesson in this? I used to be worst case scenario, but my therapist said, stop doing that. Try best case scenario.
Right.
So what's the best case scenario? What's the best?
What is that part called that we come to? Like, why would we?
I think realization.
Will we just attracted to the next? Like, why am I believing this worst case scenario? Why am I attracted to the worst case scenario? Why am I taught?
Because it's harder. It's harder to believe something that you've seen before. I mean, it's easier to believe something that you've seen before versus something that you've never experienced. Because it's scary over there. So I've been over here. I've dealt with this type of person. I've dealt with this situation before. So I'm familiar with that. I know this is crazy and I know it's but I made it through it so I can shimmy and shama through it. But over here, that's different. I don't know. It could be the
It
best.
seems too good to be true.
It could be the best thing for me, but I'm not sure because I've not experienced that before. So this is all new. So, you know, I'm gonna stay over on this side because this is more comfortable. It's what I've been. And I haven't experienced what Marianne Williamson said, how dare I not be great? How dare I not, you know, I'm fearing something that I haven't even experienced yet. How are we afraid of something that we've not even experienced? We haven't seen it. It hasn't hurt us. You know, it hasn't hurt us. It hasn't tripped us up. It hasn't done any of that. We're just scared of it because it's unknown. And that's kind of like that's like the word when you obey the gospel, you know, you're happy and everything's great and happy, and then you start telling everybody. Well, you telling everybody because you've experienced it. You know, this is the goodness of God. He has seen me through. He's seen me through. But then that person hasn't experienced it, so it's like, no, go on ahead with that Jesus stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they haven't.
What I know, it didn't work out, and what,
Yeah.
why everything bad? But did you read the book? Because the book tell you you're going to experience pain, but through your faith in Him, it becomes easier for you to go through.
And all of us have
some of it is.
All of us have experienced pain, but don't we have peace? Because I do. I got peace. I got peace. So,
and sometimes we have to know the battle is not yours.
Don't make me sing, girl. Don't make me sing.
It really ain't.
Somebody wrote a song about it.
Somebody said, well, if God's so good, why that happened to you? Girl, don't you know that you got to be used for a test? You understand what I'm saying? If we read the Bible, nothing is new in the world. It's just a new name to the person. But the situation ain't new, you know. And once we get that down pat, because I have people to say, well, I remember when I got remarried. Oh, girl, you must have really had some low self-esteem. You just went out and married that man and didn't even know that man. I said, you don't even know how I know this man. What you talking about? I said, listen, don't do that. You know, my thing is you have to step out on faith. You have to step out on faith. Even though you may backslide, as the pastor say, you have to step out on faith and know what it is. I remember when I prayed for a long, long time, and I said, Lord, I don't care about no man giving me money. Just give me a man that make it seem like you got to be careful what you ask for, people. Tongue is a powerful thing. The devil hears what you're asking for. He already know before you speak it out. He will give you exactly what you asking for. So you got to be careful on with my ex. I was like, you know, I want a man I want to be on his shoulder. I want to be that trophy girl. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be a trophy girl because when you dump me, you're gonna put me on the shelf. But we really have to understand that. So,
and that came at a cost.
It'll work, right? At a cost, and we ain't even together no more. See. But it's true. It's true. You know, you have to be mindful. Nobody's going to get 100%. You understand? And nobody's going to get 100%. But if you can come close to 100% and then less than 70%, why not?
Girl, be careful of the 80-20. You know, you got people who exchanging that 20. I mean, who exchanging the 80 for the 20. Like, okay, really?
Grass ain't green on the other side.
It ain't greener. So, you know, in the last couple of minutes, let's talk about how we turn silence into healing. And we were just talking about it. First of all, you got to figure out how you get inside of love. And that's through the word, because the foundation for love was written. It was written and it's there. It doesn't change. You got to read it. So you got to make the application. So you can't, why read it and not make the application? So you got to know where love began. Where's the foundation of love? How do I get inside of there? And then once I'm there, how do I stay there? You know, it's not a seesaw. It's not one of them, you know how dodgeball, you in, out, you know, you're trying not to get hit by the ball. So you're going in, you're going out. So you got to figure out, how do I stay in there and be whole and live a life of wholeness and a life of fullness in love, inside of love. So Dion and Shanita, give our listeners an example of what they can do to stay inside of love, to get there and stay there.
Well, I say first, recognize the problem. Go get help. Honestly, I'm all about therapy. Don't go to your friend. You need to
Right,
go
you
to
get
a
there.
therapist or the pastor.
License.
You need to go, like, don't call your mama, don't call your family, anybody with your DNA, don't call. Yes, we all do share the same DNA, but I'm talking about the 99.9% DNA. Don't look that way. Go to your therapist, because everybody may not worship the God I worship, but go to your therapist. If not, go find whoever your belief person is and you talk to them. And if they not available, find somebody up under them. Because the thing is, like I said earlier, if you tell me something, I go back and tell Dion come back to you, and you only spoke to me, you done gave up already.
That's right.
It's 99.9% you ain't gonna try it again.
Mm-mm.
You understand?
Because you can't trust them both.
My thing is, go get help. First, you got to recognize the problem. Go get help, because the help is going to give you a plan to follow through. But once they give you the plan, that plan can sit on your table. You got to put it in work. You cannot expect somebody to give you a plan that it don't work. But you, even if your faith is weak, look at that plan. And sometimes, as they used to say back in the day, get a list. Split it in half. Put your good and your bad. If the bad outweighs the good, work on it. If the good outweighs the bad, just keep pushing through it. That's it.
Right. That's right. All right.
I'm gonna say
that'll
to
preach. That'll preach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. And to know that you belong inside of love. None of us were made to exist on the outside. It is the place inside of love is home. It's paradise. It's this beautiful kingdom that God has created for us. It's a kingdom of love. And knowing that if you're on the outside today, you're struggling in the inside and you got these issues that you're battling, know that you belong inside of love. It's where peace is. It's where life is. It's where living. It's where every good and perfect gift resides.
Oh, I like that. J2 the Truth said, hello, ladies. Much love. Be advised of different types of love as well. Tough love, real love, fake love, etc. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? That fake love, you got that. That's what we talked about last week. Love that looks like love, but it ain't love. That's that fake love. My cousin, our cousin, it's our cousin. That's that fake love that our cousin is talking about. Okay. So, you know, I agree with that. And what I want to add is learn to love yourself. Learn to love the you that God created. And it's not easy. And I'm speaking from experience, because the world has said what somebody should look like. You know, the world has put stigmas out. You know, if you're dark skinned, you should be light skinned. If you're thin, you should be bigger. If you're bigger, you should be smaller. If you're tall, you should be short. It goes on and on and on. Everybody look like somebody else, and they don't want to look like themselves. So learn to love yourself. And when you're operating inside of love, then and the foundation, it'll be easier. And turn off those communication noises. So I call those noises that keep going around and talking in our head, and it's like noises coming from this way, coming from that way, and they're so loud that you can't hear what the real voice is saying. You can't hear what God is saying because the noises are so loud. So learn to love who you are, the God that He created. And listen, I am an advocate for therapy, and it's helpful for me. I go every week. There's somebody I can talk to, and I have a beautiful support circle. We are really cousins, and I can pick up the phone and call my cousins. Now they might not answer me at 5:00 in the morning, but I know I can send a text and they'll get.
We're gonna send that heart emoji right back, right, Dion?
I am that cousin. I am that cousin. I will send a text at 4:00 in the morning. I'm not expecting anybody to answer it, but they will respond. They will respond. So, you know, talk to somebody. I agree with Shanita and Dion. Talk to somebody you can trust. a therapist you can trust, not Pookie and them on the corner, because your business is going to be back before you get to the house. Okay.
With extra packages along with it.
With extra. Well, ladies, this has been yet another beautiful conversation. And listen, if you're tuning in now, or if you're tuning in at later, if you catch this through YouTube or through one of our streaming networks, leave us a message, give us a comment, tell us, what you think about the show. If you have any suggestions on topics, on what happens outside of love. We're talking about family dynamics. We're talking about romantic relationships. We're talking about parent-child relationships, all of that, co-worker relationships, friend relationships, all of that happens outside of love, whatever the negative, ugly is. We want to hear from you. Give us some suggestions. So we are Dr. LaQuita Parks and
Shanita Dawson-Ugwuoke.
And I'm Diontrise Blake.
And this has been another episode of What Happens
Outside of Love.
All right. And so y'all know me. It's been a plump, pleasing pleasure. Better than a triple decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's my story. That's our story. And we
sticking to it.
All right. Until
Peace out.
Peace out.
Bye.